Hey everyone, Nani Joe here. Welcome back to the channel. So as discussed in my previous video, the topic for this video is going to be a first impressions look at No Longer Allowed in This World, or the Japanese title is Isekai Shikaku. So we're just going to give a brief summary, then we're going to kind of get into my first impressions of it. And I've only watched, I believe, the first episode, 5 episodes that have been out. I think we're on episode 6 now, but I haven't watched it yet. So it's just kind of going to be off of my first impressions from there. I'm going to try and leave this as spoiler free as possible. The most I'll be talking about again is kind of like a summary of what the overall plot is, which is something that you'll either get from the summary itself, probably when you're looking at like a Crunchyroll or a Mindless or something, or even when you just watch the first episode. It'll give it to you all there, but I'll be very brief about it. In a nutshell, it starts off really about this guy. You know nothing about him. You just see that apparently he's very suicidal. He essentially is do a double suicide with his assuming lover, and out of nowhere, Isekai truck comes, smacks him, and now he's in another world. And so now his adventure as a suicidal hero begin. Again, there's a lot more to it than that, but we're just gonna keep it very brief. If that sounded like something interesting to you, then hey, maybe you can watch it. This title is more of a comedy. It's like it's again gonna be kind of like it's an isekai, but it's kind of a parody of it, as opposed to being the typical isekai protagonist who's someone who's, you know, from the modern era, who decides like, hey, this is like a video game, time to be the hero. The guy is from, I think, like the early 1900s. Like I want to say like really early 1900s, probably like I think they said maybe 1914 or something. So obviously knows nothing about anime or these isekai genre and stuff like that. So this is all very different from what we're used to, I guess, from most isekais. This one has been pretty interesting though, because already based off of what I've told you, typical protagonist isn't so typical, right? He's, for one, suicidal. He was trying to kill himself, instead he woke up in a different world. And then two, of course, is he comes from a time where none of this like stuff really existed before. The way they make it kind of like base it from there, when you think about it, it's comedy, okay? There's still a lot of interesting action, there's adventure and things like that. They still have all those aspects that you get from isekais, but instead we're talking about a guy who's trying to figure a way to off himself every single time he gets. It turns into kind of like this very humorous story, but then it gets really interesting. And that's something that I really appreciate. Why would I think someone who's essentially trying to kill themselves, right? Someone who's just like doesn't care about life, his own life at all. Like how are they gonna make this work, right? What are they gonna do to make him want to adventure, want to maybe even like, maybe not necessarily fight, but try to like overcome certain, walls or barriers, things like that, and grow with other people. And it does, I think so far, it's done a pretty good job of not kind of being too far-fetched and too like comedic, where it's just like, this doesn't make sense. It's like, why are we following this guy? He's such like, this is such a waste. But they actually do a pretty good job of making this whole setup in a way where we're gonna have our comedic bits where it's like, sometimes they'll find something like, hey, finally, I'm gonna be out of this world. But then at the same time, it's like he kind of has a goal. I think until he reaches that goal, he's not quite ready to just do it yet. But of course, it's like he's also still ready. I think that's one of the interesting parts of it, is that he's willing to go anytime. It's just that through sheer luck or his weird like will or his companions, that somehow he keeps he's able to survive and grow stronger. Wouldn't be the right word, but it's something like that maybe. Anyways, it's funny, it's got adventure, very interesting cast. You never, so far from what I know, you never really know the main character. Everyone just calls him Sensei, but you have your cat girls, elves, all this stuff that you expect from fantasy stuff, magic. RMC doesn't really care about any about that. You know, he just has one goal in mind, and well, I've already mentioned it several times. So based off of that, based off of what I've seen from the first 5 episodes and what I've talked about, I've been surprised. It's actually a lot more enjoyable than I was expecting it to be. I would say if you are someone who enjoys isekais to a degree, like if you like isekais, I think you'd be fine with it. But also maybe if you're someone who kind of over with the genre, like you've seen a billion isekais, you're over it. This is good in the sense that it's kind of making fun of it. So I think people who might like enjoy Konosuba, for example, would enjoy this because it's not taking itself seriously. It's not that type of isekai. So that's what the kind of thing I think makes me appreciate about it is it's almost like a breath of fresh air because I'm not just watching standard isekai A, B, C, D, E. It's a different form of it, and it kind of does a good job, I think, of studying out what it wants to do. So based off that, I would recommend it to, at least if you're looking for something current to watch. It's not a bad watch. I wouldn't say go into it expecting anything revolutionary. In my personal opinion, Konosuba is probably one of the best when it comes to being like a isekai parody. I think that's like the pinnacle. But you know, this is like a nice B, C grade anime. It's entertaining. And I think honestly, sometimes we just need to take a step back and just remember that anime is supposed to be entertaining. It's telling a story. It could be in a funny way. It could be in a serious way, romantic, so many different ways. But the whole point for me is that this is entertaining. It's not one of my more serious ones that I would be like, oh man, like I'm on the edge of my seat. But it gives me a good laugh. It's a really chill time if I just want to watch something good, just something funny or whatever. It's a good chill anime. I appreciate it for what it is. That's it for this first impressions anyways. I think for the next one I'm going to do is called Wistoria. I'm actually watching that one right now. It's another anime that's kind of current this season. I believe the full titling of it is Wistoria, Wand and Sword, or Sue to Tsurugi no Wistoria. That's actually been really good right now too. Well, I've watched things like Black Clover and stuff that makes me very like, oh, this is like super kind of like that, but it's not too. It does a good job of differentiating stuff. So I'll probably be talking a bit more about that one. That'll be probably for the next video. Anyway, are you watching No Longer Allowed in This World? If you are, what is your opinion on it? Or have I maybe made you interested in watching it? But yeah, just let me know in the comments below. And you know, all that YouTube junk, subscribe, like, whatever. I mean, that's cool, whatever. I just here giving out my 2 cents about anime that could be trash. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.